For the record, I'm about, I would say, 6 to 7 hours into Zenless Zone Zero. I've done a decent amount of the content in the beginning. You know, like I said, about 6 to 7 hours, I think. And I'm going to just briefly talk about the pros and cons that I've gathered from my experience with the game so far. I'm going to start with the pros first, and then get into the cons. Just to get straight into it, I think the combat is great. I think, first and foremost, I hear a lot of people, trash talking the combat, right? I personally think it's very satisfying, regardless of whether it's easy or not. I wasn't coming into the game expecting, like, a Souls-like, level. I wasn't expecting to do, like, freaking Dark Souls level freaking combat, right? But I think the game does provide you with those kinds of, like, almost hardcore-ish elements, right? Not necessarily hardcore, because it's just that they're not difficult to execute. Okay, I wrote here, the combat is easy but not simple, meaning there are many intricacies that people can easily look over, but an experienced sweaty player can take advantage of these intricacies to make the gameplay more complex. So, I think this goes along with what Hoyo's, what the Zenless Zone Zero team said in their pre-release live stream or program, to where the game has a low barrier of entry but a high skill ceiling. I think this is could not be further from the truth. Or wait, it could not be. It couldn't be closer to the truth. Sure, that sounds better. The game makes it very easy for you to do the combat, right? So, when you're in combat, you'll see the moves lighting up on your screen, telling you what to do. You'll see when it tells you to switch. The character in the bottom right will go boom, 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 bling, 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 and then it'll tell you to press spacebar and switch over. When your charged E is ready, it'll flash, right? When your ultimate is ready, it'll tell you to press Q. I mean, they don't make it very difficult to play the game, right? But there are a lot of intricacies inside of those or I guess almost outside of those, flashy, do this, whatever. You don't have to do that, first of all, or you do, but in a different timing, or so you'll go from just kind of spamming your M1 to be okay, well, on the third hit of my M1 I can do a heavy attack, so I'll do a heavy attack on the third hit of my M1 and the fifth hit of my M1 in the combo, and then I'm outputting more damage, right? A very casual player is not going to incorporate that into their playstyle, right? But a sweaty, experienced player is going to incorporate that. They're going to be counting the hits in their combo. They're going to be okay, wait, 1, 2, 3 heavy, 4, 5 heavy, right? That's one example I can give of how you can level up your gameplay, right? And on top of that, okay, I hear a lot of people initially, and keep in mind most people are around 6 to 7 hours in the game where I am, right? At the time that I'm recording this, I think a lot of people are very hasty to judge the combat in the game on its level of easiness, it's an end game combat, right? They're already an end game when they're not, right? Keep in mind, the story combat, which is what most people are judging their opinions on the combat on, is not the highest level. It's meant to be easy. It's meant so that all players can clear that story content relatively easily, right? That's the point. That's what they mean when they say it has a low barrier of entry but a high skill ceiling. So when you get into that end game content, you can up your difficulty, and you're going to have to implement those, more higher level, higher ordered thinking, I guess you could say, high IQ strategies into your gameplay. So it's going to become more I guess you could say Wuthering Waves or whatever. It's going to become more demanding on you to just do more than just spam left click and then press the glowing buttons every once in a while, right? But for the introductory story combat, I think that's a good thing, that it should be easy. So that way, you're accepting of casual players, and you're accepting of hardcore players later on, right? Hardcore players just have to get through the easier, baby combat first. Then they can get into what they want to do, the challenging combat that really, makes them think and makes them, play the game how they want to be played, giving them a challenge, right? And I think this is a perfect system, because this way, it's good from a business perspective, because Hoyo knows what they're doing when it comes to selling games, right? They know what or I guess rather I guess you could say that, right? The game is free, but you know what I mean. They know how to get a broad audience of players. They don't want to take the Wuthering Wave strategy and just get hardcore players, right? They want to take a broader strategy, and I think they've done a good job of that, of getting casual players, because the initial combat is easy and it's not hard to clear the story combat or anything like that, right? But later on, boom, harder combat for the hardcore players. I think that about wraps it up for the combat segment of my yap. I'll go on to another pro. This game easily has the best aesthetics of any gacha game I've ever played. Including Genshin Impact, including HSR, including WUA. This game is just, it's bright, it's lively, it's like, it's vibrant, it just feels so alive, and the city is memorable, right? Like, I know where I'm going. I'll be like, go to the arcade, okay, it's right here, go to the noodle shop right there, but go to the coffee shop right there, and it's small enough, right? And of course you can travel to other places that you unlock, which I think is cool. Just the overall aesthetic of the game, like just small details and the color palette and the shading and the graphics, it all just feels so like cozy, but also like, if I had to describe it, I would have to say like, if city pop, like the music genre, was like a video game, this is kind of what it would be. I mean, you got like cute cats everywhere, you know what I mean? Can I pet this thing? I can't pet the fucking dude. Ah! Alright. Regardless though, I will say the NPCs in this game are amazing. I might be uploading a separate video just on how cool the NPCs look. I don't know, the NPCs just look so much more alive, and of course, like, well, okay, one thing if I had to nitpick, one thing I don't like is how like you walk within 3 feet of them and they go invisible. Like, bro, I'm not touching him. I'm not even touching him. Like, hello? What is that, bro? I'm not even touching, bro. My camera is in his direction and he's like grayed out. Earlier during, I guess it was like a main story quest, I noticed the NPCs were looking amazing in that. That's where I was like really like, oh my god, this is insane. So right now, I don't know if it's doing it as much justice as it could be, but yeah, I think that kind of goes along with my idea that the whole aesthetic of this game is just beautiful. Also, just like this, I don't know, whatever this is, like this frosted glass with like, it's just such a vibe, bro. It's such a vibe, this game. Along with the whole vibes aspect, my next point is that the music in this game is very great. It's always fitting. It's kind of got this like, when you're like kind of exploring, it's got this kind of like, what you're hearing right now is like this kind of like lo-fi hip-hop chill kind of music, right? But when it comes to like the story and in combat, it's got like that kind of more upbeat, I don't know how to describe it, I would have to actually go into combat to hear it, but it's got that kind of like upbeat feel to it, which I really like. My next point is actually a kind of a big point for me. The main character, or the main characters are both very independent when you compare them to the main characters in games like Honkai Star Rail or Wuthering Waves. What I mean by that, in those games, you generally get to name your character, right? And they don't really tell you what the character's actual names is, because of course in Honkai Star Rail you have like Kylus and Stell, right? But I don't even know if they at least once even say those characters' names, because they just refer to you either as the name that you select or like as like Trailblazer or whatever, or Rover, right? Which gets kind of annoying, because it's like, bro, I have a name, but like when I have a name, obviously the voice actors can't say my name because I typed it in, right? So it's like, it just like, I don't feel the need to immerse myself in the game as my character. I would rather have a main character that's not lifeless and soulless and just meant to be like a self-insert for myself to like have a blank slate. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of what the Honkai Star Rail characters are. They don't talk, right? They're not voiced, which is what I love about this game. A lot of the main characters' dialogue lines are just fully voiced, which is just something you don't find in even like HSR, right? Which I love this game. I love that game, by the way. But yeah, in this game, the main characters just feel so much more alive and like unique as their own characters, right? Even though you can't even play them. You can't even play them, and it says so much that I feel like Belle is like her own character. Next thing I wrote down is that the character designs in this game are really good. Now I'm a brokey, so I don't have a lot of characters, and I unfortunately got this stupid Neko Lolly instead of Grace, which is what I wanted. But if you look at any of the characters in this game, I'm actually very, very pleased with their designs. Literally any of them, I would say. Although I mean like clothing wise and like their drip and their aura. All the characters have like immense aura. You know what I mean? I really like this girl. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I'm about to yap for a little bit. She's got like her like sage green hair with like the black highlights or whatever, and it's like her purple eyes. I think it's really cool. This girl just seems really annoying, but she's got drip. Literally all the characters are just like, oh my god, this is like the most attractive character in any gacha game, just straight up. I don't like the furries and I don't like the lollies. But no, this guy, I don't even know if you can consider this guy to be a furry character, bro. He's just giving me like insane aura, bro. He's just a baller, man. This guy's just a baller. I don't even consider him to be like, oh yeah, oh my god, ew furry. This guy is ew furry. Like, what even is this? If I rolled this, I don't care how goated he is. I don't care if he's the best character in the game right now, right? Besides like Ellen Joe or whatever. I don't care. If I rolled him, bro, I would be way more mad than when I got this chick, right? One more thing I'm gonna add onto this. I like how just like the rotations or whatever, like how you can like kind of like move them around or whatever. It's like cool. I don't know. It's a unique thing. It doesn't just like HSR. I mean, you don't get to see the character the whole time, whereas this you can like, it's like right here, you know. This is something subtle, but yeah, the character designs are really cool in this game. The last thing I think I have to add for the pros is that, or at least what I can remember, is that the cutscenes are just, they're beautiful. They're so full of life, and they're just so like the emotions that the characters are supposed to have just feel right. You know what I mean? Like in certain games, like I guess like I keep using HSR because that's like the most played gacha game that I have played, right? So like in HSR, the cutscenes can feel like kind of like you're not like, why are you not reacting hard enough, right? Like, or Wuthering Waves is also a good example. Like the characters can just seem kind of dead during the cutscenes. It's like what do you like, react harder, man. But in this game, like the character, when something tragic happens, something like the characters know that something tragic is happening and they know how to actually react to it. So that's like good props on the voice actors. I'm using JP voicing, which is, I think, I don't know, I actually didn't try the English voice acting at all, but I was watching some of like Tecton's stream and I saw that he had the English voice acting on. It seemed pretty good. But again, that was only like 10 minutes. So now I'm gonna get on to the cons. Okay, this is a good place to start off. This UI right here, it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels cheap or cluttered to me. I don't like it very much, okay? Now, I know this is what everybody's saying, right? But just because everybody's saying it doesn't mean I can't say it too. It just feels like confusing. There's a more button here that has like all this stuff in it. Like, if I'm searching for mail, I'll have to look through all of these first and then be like, wait, where's mail? Oh, hold on, like let me look in more, and then there's mail. Like, it's just an extra step, right? And I guess I can appreciate this, like whatever this is, right? Like, I don't know how to change it. I'm not making it the mail. Like you can like put your character here or whatever, and like it's like a B-roll of them just like sitting on a couch or something. But this whole screen just feels kind of unnecessary. And I much prefer like Honkai Star Rail, where you like press escape and you just kind of open up your phone and your character is still like sitting right there or whatever. You have like all the apps or whatever, everything is like on the right, and you can just scroll down. So if you don't see it, you just scroll instead of having to press more. And it just takes up the whole screen, and it's just kind of odd, and it just feels a little cheap. To add on to the whole UI thing, on the bottom right, it's like I can see like, I don't even know what all of that is. Like I'm like I don't even know what F is like for this thing, and then this is like kind of hard to control, and then you have to like click afterwards. I'm nitpicking, okay? That's not that bad, but having all that in the bottom right, I feel like it's just unnecessary. Excuse me, especially when I have stuff in the top right as well. Like what's the point? You can close that, but I feel like the stuff in the top right is more important. Next up, I'll go for, I guess, like more story-based stuff. The dialogue can kind of feel a little dead in some ways, because at the end of the day, it's like just two characters like staring blankly at a screen, right? And there's like barely seen, there's like a blurred scenery in the background, which I think is like, it's not horrible, right? I mean, the characters look good, I guess, while they're sitting there. I mean, I don't know. It can feel a little dead, and it's not like Honkai Star Rail does this any better, because like I think one of the first cutscenes in this game was like, or not cutscene, sorry, the first dialogues is like Andy pulls out like a sword on Billy or something like that, and you just kind of have to assume that it happened. Like, it's obvious because Billy's like, oh, put the sword away or whatever. But like, I don't know. It's like, I wish I could have even heard like a shing, like a sheath noise or whatever. But you just had to like use context clues to infer that she pulled out a sword on him, and you didn't see that happen. Like, the characters' expressions stay the same throughout the entire dialogue, and it's like and their mouths barely move. I mean, it's like classic Hoyoverse, and just like, I guess, gacha game in general. Like dialogue that it's kind of boring, and like lifeless. But so yeah, I mean, I can't say it's better or worse than any other Hoyoverse game, but you know, that's just, I mean, that doesn't change the fact that it's a con about the game. About the character design, on the other hand, I already mentioned this. There are so many furries and lol. There's only like 2 furries, okay? Unless you count this thing as a furry. But there's also like a lot of lollies, which I'm like, not a fan of at all. Like, what is this thing, bruh? Like, I don't, why does this exist? This reminds me of, what's the one, like, Verena from Wuthering Waves? Like, this is like, but why? I mean, at least it's not like a goated character, right? I don't know. I mean, it's not that the characters look bad. Like, these characters look good, right? But, like, it's like, I wish they were, like, I don't know, I feel like these characters would just look much better if they were, you know, adults. Some of these are like debatable. Like, you could say this is not a child. You could be like, this is like kind of like a Pella scenario from HSR, like a Pella. But then some of them are like straight up like Hook. You know what I mean? Like this is like straight up like equivalent of like Hook, or like Bailu. I don't even know, bro. I'm not even gonna dig my grave here. That's just like a small gripe. There's just like a lot of them. Normally, like even in Honkai Star Rail, there's like 4. Like noticeably underage characters, at least I would say. Like there's like I don't want that character. Like, you know what I mean? Like, get that out of here. But like in this game, there's like a lot. It's like half of the character list. Another thing to complain about, the TVs. Everybody talks about the TVs. They're annoying. They take way too long. They're slow. They're confusing. There's too many layers to it. It forces you to kind of like lock in when I'm just like trying to get through it. You know what I mean? It's like already boring, but they really make me have to focus on it, and I don't want to do that. Everybody's already talked about the TVs. You already know what they are. You know that they're confusing and bad. Supposedly they're getting rid of them after chapter 2 or something like that. I hope so, right? But for my first impressions, that's what I got, right? I can feel lost and confused in the story a lot of the time, although at the end it does tend to come together. So especially for like that Vision, like, or like the Vision corporation thing, like the whole comic strip stuff, I was like confused the whole time. Granted, I was tired. That was last night. It was like 1 in the morning. I was tired, but like at the end of the day, I shouldn't have to like be like absolutely honed in like every moment of the every dialogue piece. I shouldn't have to be like analyzing, you know what I mean? Like, the story can feel a little boring, but I'm not gonna hold that against them. And the reason why is because I'm remembering Honkai Star Rail, and Honkai Star Rail's story started off as kind of basic. I can't say it was boring because I continued playing, right? But it was not like to die for, right? Now the recent updates of HSR, the whole Penacony story, literally literally perfect cinema, dude. Absolute cinema, straight up. I feel like I was watching an anime the whole time I was playing that like not necessarily the recent one, but like the ones before. All of the Penacony arc is just to die for, like, genuinely. But, you know, so what I'm saying is the story in games like these, especially Hoyo games, even Genshin Impact story started off a little like meh, right? The story in these kinds of games just tends to like build as more lore gets added, more characters get introduced, and the devs just kind of like feel out their comfort zone, I guess. So this old man's about to run into me. I wish I could shove him over. Anyways, you know, at the end of the day, I may make a separate video on this, but I feel like people are really just dogging on the game a lot for no reason. And they could be biased against Hoyoverse or whatever the case may be. They probably maybe they just don't want to have to add another game, so they're just like hating on the game and trying to get it to fail. It's like a convenient excuse to just not play it, or like get everybody to stop playing it. But they themselves don't want to stop playing it because then they'd be out of the loop. Yeah, I don't know. The people hating on it seem to be like comparing it to Wuthering Waves a lot. I don't think this is fair. I think Wuthering Waves is like Wuthering Waves is an open world game. This is not an open world game. The most similar thing they have in common is, I guess, the combat is more like brain demanding, I guess. And it's like more skill and timing based. But I think if you're going to compare this game to another game, I would compare it to like Honkai Impact 3rd. Granted, I didn't play that much Honkai Impact 3rd, but I did play it like a few hours, I guess. So I mean, I know about the game, and I know these NPCs are just so good looking, man. That about wraps it up. Yeah, I don't think this game, overall, I would say I'm having a lot of fun playing the game so far, and I think the biggest contributor, so the biggest pro that I have with this game is the The aesthetic is just so pretty. It's just so. I could just walk around here for hours. Not actually. I would get bored at some point. But I could just like it's so easy to look at, and it's so like it just looks so good. Right? And the main character, by the way, I must say Belle looks stunning, right? Her design is so detailed. She doesn't have freaking white hair for finally. However's trying to make a main character without white hair impossible challenge. Somehow they overcame that. But yeah, her shirt cool, her whole drip. She's got such immense drip. That was my little first impressions after about 6 to 7 hours of Zenless Zero overall. I'm very pleased, or I'm not, okay, I'm pleased with the game. I guess it could have been better, but at the end of the day, every game could have been better. So, you know, it's a gacha game, remember? I mean, it's not going to be a AAA Red Dead Redemption 2 every time it releases. Same thing I said about Wuthering Waves. It's not going to be beautiful on launch. You know, just cut the game some slack. Stop trying to just mindlessly hate on the game because you hate Hoyo. Just play the goddamn game like it's meant to be played, and yeah. Peace.